Hi again, it's Fred. Just wanted to update a couple things. The other day someone was talking to me about backpacking and camping, and they said, "Hey Fred, well, what are a couple things that you just wouldn't go without when you go backpacking?" And it didn't take me too long to answer that question. One of the things that I think is really a great value are these Costco quilts. They usually pack up into a small thing like this, and they're just plain old quilts, and they will keep you warm. They're not really warm, but like if you're hammock camping and you're in that 60 to 70 degree range, maybe even 55, you can just use these and just cover up a little bit, and it's no problem. If you have some cold weather and maybe you only have something that goes down to, like, say 50 degrees, like I have like an over quilt, a cheap hack that I've talked about before. I have an $18 Walmart sleeping bag. It's good to about 50 degrees. So I leave the bottom zipped up kind of like a foot box, and I put my feet in there, and then I put that up over the top of me. And that's good down, for me, it's good down to about 45 or 50 degrees. I'm kind of a cold sleeper, so I can usually sleep a little colder than what things are rated. But if I take this Costco quilt, and I mean, this is a really lightweight, very easily packed in my backpack. If I just take this with me and I put that on there, that'll extend almost 10 degrees, sometimes a little bit more, almost 15 degrees in terms of my comfort level. So I think this is a really great product. I know some people make under quilts with these, and they have really good success with that. I just think it's a great thing to take. You can put it around your shoulders and stuff if you're sitting around a fire, and maybe your shoulder, the back, you know how your back always gets cold and you have to stand up and turn around and heat up your back and your buns because you know, the fire only warms you on one side. Well, you can put this behind you, wrap it around you, and put it maybe underneath you on your chair or on your log and whatever you're sitting on, or your Reflectics or your pad, and that'll help keep you warm. So this is a product I really think is great. I think you can get them for about 18 or 20 bucks. I got two for like, I think 36 or something like that. And they're just a really great product. I really like them. I even like to sleep with them like around home at night. Sometimes I'll just put that over me instead of like another quilt or something like that. I just really like them. The other thing that I would not go without, and I think this has been the best investment I ever made, are these reflector panels that you put up in your car to keep you know how you put them in your window and to keep the sun out of your car. All right, now I don't know if you've ever really looked at those closely, but on either side they have a Reflectics material. Usually they have a little bit of bubble material or some kind of padding. It's not very much padding, but it's a little bit soft. And then they have this thing that reflects, and it reflects both directions, okay? One way is usually a little shinier, and that is where it reflects the best, okay? And so this is really great for lots of different things. It basically reflects the heat from your body. So if I lay this down on the ground, and I put a sleeping bag on top of it, and I just lay on, I'm a ground dweller, and I just lay on that sleeping bag, and with this underneath of it, I can literally feel the heat coming back through my body and back into the sleeping bag. It doesn't go straight out of the sleeping bag through the sleeping bag into the ground. I know that lots of people have pads and stuff. I've used these with the Z pads, and I've used them with air mattresses as well and things like that. I just think that I always get a little bit more heat when I've got this underneath of me. And so that's really a good use of it, is just to put it if you're a ground dweller. I also use these because they fold up so easily. I will take something like this and I'll put it, like if I don't have any chairs or anything like that, I'll just actually put this on the ground or up against a log or something, and I'll have like part of it behind me and prop it up like against a tree, and then sit on the other half. And again, it keeps me warm. It kind of acts as a wind block. If there's wind behind me, I try to usually set it up so that the wind is behind me if that's the case. But this thing really keeps me warm. I can just use it, put it on a log or something, and maybe unfold it a couple like this, and I can just sit on it on top of a log. And that means that I'm not sitting on the log itself. So first of all, I'm not getting my pants wet from a wet log. This has this kind of plastic over the top so it can get damp, but it doesn't go into the pad itself. And you can just wipe it off with a towel or just let it dry. So this thing is really, really a handy thing. Now, I'm a hammock camper, and if I get out and it's a little colder than what I thought it was going to be, and maybe I didn't bring an underquilt, or maybe I don't have anything to keep underneath of me, I can literally take this and put it in my hammock, and I can just put it underneath me and lay on that. And this pretty well fits in, and because it's kind of soft, it'll bend a little bit, and so it'll bend around me. Now, it's not the most comfortable thing in a hammock, but if I really need to keep warm, I can put this underneath of me. And it's just like using the Reflectics that people get. And this thing cost me $2.50 at Walmart. I bought 3 of them for me and my 2 daughters just because I thought, wow, I got to be able to use it for something. And man, we've used them for all kinds of things. So I really recommend that you get these. The ones that I have these little bands on them. So they just go around the thing like this. So it literally keeps it shut. I mean, if you didn't have those, you could just use a rubber band or something. And this thing is really light. I think it's only like 3 or 4 ounces, something like that. So it's really, really lightweight. And you can put it on the straps in the bottom of your pack. You can put it on the back in the middle or on the side. It's really so light. It doesn't really hardly weigh anything, and it doesn't really bother you. So that is a really, really good product. Now, the other thing I want to show you, I've just recently discovered. My kids, like I get sore when I sit on the ground a long time, or if I sit on a log a long time. It gets kind of sore, and I'm getting old and getting a little bit of arthritis. So I like to sit like in chairs or at least a decent log. Okay. And so Dave Kiefer, my buddy that goes camping with me, you've probably seen him on some of the other channels. He got a little 3-legged stool from Field and Stream, and he really spoke highly of it. So I decided to get one. It weighs a little bit, but it's not too awful heavy. And basically, what it is, it's just a 3-legged stool that comes out like this. You sit on it. It's kind of like a triangle. If I can get it here so you can see it. So it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but after you've been hiking for a while, any kind of seat is really nice rather than sitting on an old wet log, especially if it's cold or something like that. So I started sitting this. Now, if any of you have had these, or if you have the nicer chairs, the Helios chairs that has 4 legs on it and has a back, and those things are really beautiful. They're a little bit heavier than this is, so I haven't gone to that yet. Dave actually has one, and it looks so comfortable I may have to go ahead and buy one. But one of the problems of sitting in these chairs is that what happens is, if it's really, really muddy, what will happen is these legs, even though they have a little space around the bottom here, like this, if it's really muddy, it'll just sink in. And when it sinks in, then it just tips you over. And the Helios chairs do the same thing. I've seen people sit down in them, and the back 2 legs are in mud, and it just slides, it goes right into the mud and tips them right over. I've seen other people sit and the front legs go in, or the side legs go out in, and they tip over sideways. That's just a thing that you have to deal with these kinds of chairs. So you have to sit on some solid ground. Well, sometimes you just don't have solid ground, or maybe you have some solid ground, and then it rains, and all of a sudden it gets wet. Well, one of the things I figured out about these things, I use this a lot of times when I go hammock camping. I use it underneath my hammock, just for a place to put my feet. And so I usually have it spread out underneath my hammock. Those of you who've seen me, some of my videos have seen this before. And so I had a pretty rainy day the last couple times I was out camping, or hammock camping. And so I was underneath my Perea sill poly tarp, and I was sitting in this chair, and I put it down in the morning, and boy, the ground, it was just soft. It had gotten soft, and I couldn't sit in this thing. And I'm thinking, oh crap, I wanted to sit underneath that tarp, have a cup of coffee and stuff before I tore down in the rain. Then I got the bright idea, well, I wonder if I could just put it on this. So what we did is we just put it on here, and it sinks into this a little bit, but that's all it did. It didn't sink into the ground at all. So now what I do is, whenever I have this and I want to sit it, I just sit it on this thing. And usually I have it doubled, so that makes it even stiffer. but even just a single layer just keeps it from going into the ground and sinking into the ground. I mean, it's great. I don't have to worry about sinking into the ground anymore with this, as long as I have this with me and I take this wherever I go. So those are a couple things. This Costco quilt and this Reflectics sun visor thing. You can get them. You can get this at Walmart. You get the other one at Costco, and I just really highly recommend them. I think you will find that they are absolutely invaluable in a pinch, especially. Hope that helps. Again, I appreciate all of your support. Man, we're almost got 150 subscribers. If you'd told me that was going to happen a year and a half ago when I started all this, I would have just laughed at you. I would have said, who in the world wants to listen to me? But apparently we're itching somebody's back, and we're meeting some needs, and so we really appreciate that. If you know somebody that's retired and they're wanting to get into backpacking, send them our way. And you know, that's how we got started. I really have only been seriously backpacking, really seriously, for about a year and a half or 2 years, and I just love it. And I just love sharing what we do. We do live stuff here, so sometimes I make mistakes and I have to correct them, and we just do it live. We're not proud. We're just common people, just like you and other people, and we just want to help. So I hope this has been helpful to you, and we'll see you on the trail. Remember, if I can do this, you can do it too.